is this something I can do? So the mental strength is what you need, but that's the first thing that's kind of drops a little bit because you're like, physically, I think I can do this. Mentally, can I do it? So yeah, it was. There was never a point in the beginning. It was very much like, can I do this? Once you start walking, and I'll tell you how the days went because it was 6 days of. It was grueling. You know, there's like 12-hour walks, 13-hour walks, big boulders. Big boulders where you've seen how bad my back is, right? Mm. Where my body started angling every day. I remember Sharon was walking behind me on one of the hikes and said to me, are you okay? Mm. Physically, your body takes a battering. Well, for me anyway. I can't speak for anyone else. There was people in our group who are phenomenal, and I wish I was like them. I wasn't. I struggled. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I struggled. But yeah, physically it was grueling.
So it's going back to the question I asked you earlier, right? You run. I mean, you run like 10 miles, 12 miles, 13 miles. 3 times a week, right? And I always remember one thing that you said over and over again. There's nothing that prepares you for the mountain, because I thought this would be a walk in the park for you. Yeah. Because of what you do, what you put your body through in terms of fitness during the week, during, fitting it in during work times, fitting it during family time, running keeps you mentally.
Yeah, I love it.
Incredible. Tell me about, we've talked about the climb, we've talked about the experience, but we've not really talked about it in depth, right? So talk to me about the weather conditions and, what were you eating and the sleeping and, all that. Talk me through that. What was that experience? Because you were sleeping on a mountain, right? You were eating on a mountain, right? How were you dealing with those conditions?
Well, this is the craziest thing here, bruv. So I've never camped in my life. I need my hot water. I need my shower. So does everybody else. But I've never camped, and people love camping. So my first full camping experience was on this goddamn mountain, which is another thing. So it's not one challenge is climbing the mountain. Another challenge is you've never camped. Remember, someone at work cracked me up. Barrett, have you ever camped? No. So your first experience of camping is on the side of a mountain. The first night we were in the rainforest. So we walked and we got to the first camp. And as I alluded to earlier, it was quite posh because we got there. And the guides, they took our stuff, man. I mean, they were phenomenal. And I'll talk about them. Just next level. Took our stuff, set up our camp. I had my own tent. All my stuff was in there. And I think the first night I really struggled to sleep because you know how I am with bugs. And you're hearing bugs buzzing and what was it, crickets? I don't know what it was, some noise. And you're in this rainforest. Hearing monkeys, and you're just all you've got between you and sort of what's out in the jungle is this tent. But it was comfortable. I cheated. I bought myself a pump-up mattress, and I laid that down just to keep my body off the ground. And then I obviously had my tent. And, the first night was really difficult. And, bruv, I was really sad the first night because I didn't want to be there.
Didn't want to be where?
Sleeping in a tent.
Yeah.
It was just I felt a bit low.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, why am I here? I've paid to do this. What am I, nuts? Food-wise, no complaints. They looked after us, that we had a proper chef, and it was all about protein. It was just eating, pulses and and as much meat as we could.
Yeah.
Food was never a problem. Actually, there was too much food, because obviously they wanted you to keep your nutrition levels up. And I'll talk to you about, dehydration, keeping hydrated, and oxygen levels. So there's a lot of things that you don't take into account when you're climbing the mountain as to what could go wrong. Only until I got there, I was starting to worry. I took my altitude sickness tablets, did all of those things. So I was prepared in that sense. But it's Mother Nature.
Yeah.
It is going to strip you down, right, and ruin you if you don't respect it. So that first night was quite a sad night. I had Sharon, I had Ange, I had my family there, but they were in a tent together, and I was in a tent on my own.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, and I kind of felt it a little bit, whereby I was like, oh, they're together, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta suck it up, man.
Was that the first night you felt like that, or was that a couple of nights in?
No, it was the first night, because you don't know anyone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you don't know anyone, bruv. At the end of the day, you're there, and we were known as the siblings.
Yes.
We were known as the siblings, and it was like, good night, everyone, and they zipped their tent, and I went into this tent on my own, and I was a bit low. I've never really told anyone that. I've always come out thinking I go back to the mountain and big it up, but the truth was, I felt quite low that first night.
There's a thing that you've said. There's a few things you said to me. Respect the mountain, or the mountain. It was a humbling experience. You've said that. But what surprised you the most about the mountain?
What surprised me the most about the mountain? The sheer mass of it. You asked about weather, right? You're going to get all 4 seasons on that weather. So you're going to get heat. So we were putting lotion on to protect our skin. You're going to get 15-mile-an-hour winds. You're going to get cold, rain, heat again, snow at the peak. And we'll talk about the peak, I'm sure. But it was just the sheer size of it, because when you read about Kilimanjaro on a website, it's not a technical climb. Technical climb is like what they do in Mount Everest, where you get past base camp and you got to do the ropes and the pulleys and whatever. I mean, I'm not a technical climber. I'm just assuming it's a walk. And you're like, okay, is it walking up Bradgate Park or walking up Snowdon? No, it's a volcano, and it has erupted. And there are all these boulders everywhere. And that's what surprised me, the amount of scrambling we had to do. And, it was, about the wall as well.
Yeah.
And that's what surprised me, the sheer size of it. Like, you see this mountain, and when you're below it, from a distance, or, like I said, the only time I saw the peak was on the plane. The rest of that time, that mountain never showed its peak. And I want to say surprising as such, there was a lot of things that shocked me of Sharon, right? I'm going to talk about Sharon. Sharon, as we know, isn't very tall. And I remember walking with her. She was trying to climb over these boulders. And the boulders were practical. I mean, you got to give her credit, right? Where credit's due. The boulders were bigger than her. And she was exerting a lot more energy to get over. So a lot of things that not surprising, but were quite shocking, as in, wow, this is not just a walk.